Well, good afternoon. My name is Nicholas Bannan, and I'm a British musical composer, writer, and researcher. I've enjoyed coming here to Poznan, to this wonderful university, and to meet these lovely colleagues and some excellent students. And we're addressing the question of the origin of music. Is music something that is part of our genetic makeup, our DNA, so that we pass it on even without intending to? Or is it a cultural practice which one generation teaches to the next? Or perhaps it's a mixture of those two things. But if it even is a mixture of anatomical adaptation and cultural teaching, the former has to take precedence. Otherwise, there'd be nothing on which to base our teaching. So, what have I said about this? Well, the standard model from Greek philosophy through to psychology, even as recently as the work of Steven Pinker, has been that language defines our principal difference with other species of the animal kingdom, and that other expressions of human artistic creativity emerged after language. So Herbert Spencer saw music as being what happens when your language gets a bit excited and goes up and down, and then is captured in distinct pitches, which perhaps you can translate to musical instruments. Herbert Spencer's friend Charles Darwin, by contrast, had a completely different picture. He was married to a fantastically able concert pianist called Ella, who had studied with Chopin in Paris, and he heard music every night played by her before they went to bed. In addition, he, during the Beagle voyages, which led to his most famous original book, The Origin of Species, he had studied the phenomenon of music and dance in cultures all the way around the world, from the southern European islands through to Latin America, through to various parts of the Pacific Islands, Australia, back via Africa to England. He actually wrote accounts of these things, which were used by Tyler, who was the first British ethnomusicologist. So we can see Darwin's interest in music as being a genuine factor in the devising of his theories of evolution. After natural selection was revealed in The Origin of Species, Darwin then went on 20 years later to produce The Descent of Man. It's really important to know that Darwin did not assert how evolution explained the human condition in The Origin of Species. That comes out in The Descent of Man, and it's an advance in several ways on the theory of the origin of species. In particular, it introduces and expands on the idea of sexual attraction, the idea that behavior between the two genders is conditioning of the capacity to reproduce and bring up the next generation. And it's in this category that Darwin's imagination takes him into thinking about human culture and the origins of communication, and is possibly amongst the first, although there were theories from the French Enlightenment associated with individuals like Rousseau and with the German brothers Humboldt, who first referred to the human species as musical and singing. But Darwin takes all that work much further. He was in touch with the Humboldts, and he states that musical communication, interaction, perception, and production of musical sounds was precedent to language in the evolution of our species, and the basis of our understanding of acoustics and its effect on behavior. And what several of us around the world are doing is looking at the consequences for that theory, the idea of singing together in rhythm as a defense against predators, as a way of socially mobilizing interaction with our colleagues, of working across the genders, because we have a male voice which is pitched more or less an octave lower than that of the female, and we've been trying to investigate a theory for why that happened in our species and what its consequences are. We believe that it's to do with the significance of the octave to the way that we hear, which has been investigated by neurologists as determined by our anatomy. And as a result, we are assuming that musicality has emerged as part of the repertoire of sounds that we both understand and can make. And there are other species which also have some of the same properties. The pied butcherbird in Australia, some of the macaques of Japan, bottlenose dolphins also are able to make use of octave equivalents. So that's what I've been talking about to some very receptive audiences. And it's fascinating and very exciting to have had this opportunity to come to Poznan and share this message with the people I met today.